Well, it's finally that time. I was originally going to review these movies in summer vacation, but I decided to get them over with since I really don't have a lot to do in March, even with my schedules being changed all the time. So let's talk about what it all started back in 2013, My Little Pony, Equestria Girls. People have mixed opinions about this movie. People may like it and some people completely hate it. But I'm in the liking spot. People say that this is the weakest film of the entire series. But then again, this is the first movie, and after that, this spin-off series will improve. But then again, I really don't think that this movie is really that bad. I consider it mediocre at best. Last time, I gave this movie a 7.5 out of 10. And right now, I can say that it's not as good as last time, but it's not terrible for the most part. This movie begins with the main characters going to the Crystal Empire. Since that Twilight is now officially a princess during this time, she needs to understand what it's like to be a princess. However, during the night, Sunset Shimmer stole Princess Twilight's crown and head into the mirror world where she spends most of her time. And then we get a backstory about Princess Celestia talking about her past with Sunset Shimmer on, well, Sunset Shimmer now wants to be an outcast. Yeah. That moment alone really proves that people want to see Sunset Shimmer and Princess Celestia interact ever since Rainbow Rocks. Anyway, Princess Twilight and Spike must enter the mirror world so they can able to get the crown from Sunset Shimmer. However, Princess Twilight is having a hard time controlling her human body, but later on she'll get used to it. And as for Spike, he's now a dog. And they're also in a high school which is completely different on where they live. So Twilight needs to fit in and also get her friends back together. Well, not really her friends, considering this is the mirror world, not the Equestria, but you know what I mean. And that's why I'm going to stop the story for right now. Now, the story is cliched, obviously, and I can understand why it's one of the major problems of this movie. However, I can't blame it that much. It's just basically development on to find what the other characters are, like Rainbow Dash and Applejack. Princess Twilight just doesn't fit in high school since this is completely different on where she lives. And when she meets the other counterparts in this world, it's completely different since Sunset Shimmer completely ruined everything for their friendship. So, the only thing that's completely different is Twilight getting everyone back together all because of Sunset Shimmer. However, it doesn't stop this movie from being completely boring. I mean, the songs are pretty good, which I'll get to later. The story is still obvious on what's going to happen next, since this is a high school movie with My Little Pony characters into humans into the mix. You know, I can understand that that's what high school movies are like, but at the same time, this movie gets really boring and boring every time a new movie or special comes out for Equestria Girls. And when the main villain does something completely intimidating at the end, it's just thrown in. Yeah, it's just thrown like automatically. Like, yeah, this is a high school movie, but since we got nothing else to do, let's do something completely out of nowhere at the end. Seriously, when Anime reviewed this, he was completely right about this out of nowhere from Sunset Shimmer. And it really doesn't make up anything to make this movie good. Anyway, there are only 3 new things about this movie, and I'll go into them individually. First is Canterlot High. This is the first time we get to see Canterlot High in the spin-off series. And to be honest, it's pretty good to look at. I mean, I do like the hallways, and even though that's what we see in high schools, I still like the designs of what they did in the high school. For example, is the characters who appear in the school. Now, the only thing that what this movie does original about it is the background characters. We don't get to see any of the background characters in the show, which is kind of the only thing that we get to see on how original Equestria Girls can be in this movie. Seriously, the bronies who completely talk about the minor characters and the background characters just couldn't get enough of them. Especially that we don't get a lot of male characters in the show. And what I mean is that male pony characters. The second thing we get from this movie is Sunset Shimmer, who's pretty much the most forgettable villain in this show. No, seriously. Since this is the only time she's ever been a villain, and then afterwards her redemption gets stronger, It's really hard to see of her being a villain than being a good guy later on in this spin-off series. And for the majority of this movie, she has her goons to take down Twilight in order to win the Far Former, like she always does every year. And it really amazes me on how everything completely changes after this movie. I mean, the more I look at her in this movie, it just feels like a completely different person, which is considered the reason why people don't like her in this movie. However, the only difference that I kind of like in this movie about her is not because of a change of heart, it's because of her reasons onto why she became popular in the first place. She's only being mean because she thinks it's the only way to get adornment. However, it just isn't the right way to do it, since she was the reason why all the friendships have completely broken. Especially the way that she completely put on the crown, that she thinks that she deserves to be a princess. However, it just turns everything into a disaster at the end. By the way, this is the first time where magic became a corruption thing, and it's just out of nowhere, but it's not a problem, unlike in the later movies. For one thing, Sensei Shimmer didn't know what the crown can do to her, and when she wears it, she didn't know that the crown was dangerous until she completely took it off, even though that the main characters completely stopped her. And to be honest, the corruption thing in this movie is just okay. It's not as bad as the other ones that we see later in the spin-off series, because trust me, they're a lot worse and they get overdue constantly. And the more of not using a lot of magic in this gets really old after a while. So I'm just gonna say that Sensei Shimmer in this movie, for being a villain, is forgettable, but at the same time, it's really not that bad. And let's get into the third and final new thing that they did in this spin-off series, and that is Flash Century.